You're not even local. Why you? You shouldn't be our hip prefect. You're not even from here. You don't belong here. Go back to where you belong. And as a halfie kid, that's harsh, right? Because what is my identity? You know, is it the UK where I spent the first 8 years, or is it this country that I now call home where my mom is from?
Yes.
So how am I supposed to fit in?
Right.
Where do I belong?
Welcome to this episode of Clean Your Toilet Podcast. Hi, my name is Leonard and I'm the founder and creative director of Singapore's first gender fluid Afro fashion label. And I'll hand it over now to Barbara, who will
I have so many questions.
Podcast with us, yes.
My name is Barbara. I am a presenter, host, MC, sports enthusiast, dog mom, wife-to-be, and everything in between. Straight off the bat. Okay, so your business, tell me about it.
Well, as I mentioned just now, we are like Singapore's first gender fluid Afro fashion label. And what
is Afro is the name?
Afro is actually a sort of a portmanteau of the word athletic and flow. And it's kind of a style and aesthetic that, it's more the way we kind of design our clothes that allow us to flow through our lifestyle. So very lifestyle kind of wear. So clothes that go from workout to hang out every day to your next holiday. That's what I say. Yeah. So we have 3 collections under our brand, which is Fit, which is our athleisure line. Form, which we call it our uniform or like the everyday essentials. And then finally we have our most latest collection is called Flow, which is more our signature way to wear, a little bit more experimental, more design-centric, and a little fun as well.
Ooh. I gotta get the link to this because I usually do my shopping while I'm in Singapore so that I don't get too many packages in Australia.
Oh.
Yeah.
In Australia, you have a lot of good fashion there, right?
Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that, but I need to manage my spending.
Don't you all?
You got the partner at the back. It's like, more packages for you?
Yeah.
So I just get all my packages in Singapore. Shh, don't tell anything. So how did you, tell me more about yourself. How did you get to starting the business? Where you are today? Tell me everything.
I'll tell everything. Well, I don't know. I think essentially I started this business actually from a very kind of more self-centered point of view because I couldn't find the things I wanted in the market. So do a lot of founders as well who start their own businesses. They cannot find things in the market and so they start their own, right? Do it yourself. And so that's what happened. I was kind of, I had this kind of certain lifestyle where I was, going for yoga, going for workouts, the day. And then after that, I'll transition over to like work or going out with my friends. And then, on the occasional long weekend, Singaporeans in their long weekends, right? They just take it off and then they go somewhere. And so travel as well, But I always trying to find clothes that could really sort of be able to cut across these various occasions in my life. And I couldn't quite find a brand that really captured all of that, And so, after shopping for so many years and not being able to find it, I decided to just, go out on my own and do it and design the things I wanted to see in the market. And then I started my brand Phoenix.
And now it's time for some ads.
Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying. Okay, so I'll go first. I'll show you. Okay, and I'll show the
God,
camera
what's
as well.
this?
Okay, what do you think this is? Show the camera.
It feels like it's very nature driven. When I see the brown, It reminds me of the earth. And then when I see this blue-green thing, it reminds me of leaves or trees or moss, maybe?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, so this actually, I was trying to capture like a tree or a moss kind of thing. I'm feeling a bit naturey today.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. And I don't know, what does this bring to mind when you saw this? Like, does it remind you of anything?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me of one of our sponsors.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's interesting, right? He's able to preserve mosses.
Oh, and like he can keep them green and...
Yeah, and preserve them for months. And that itself is an art and a skill because...
I see.
I know that only the at some point in time, only the Europeans could do it when he wanted to do it. But then, there was no formula on exactly how to do it. It almost became like an experiment of figuring out how to do it, finding out those steps, and then making it something. And so he's the first and only person in Singapore who can do it.
Feels like he pioneered this preservation method.
Yes, within Singapore itself.
That's cool.
And that is what he's known for.
Okay.
Like using mosses to make frames and moss frames that become a display at home, and it's like a living thing that requires very
the
minimal.
moss is actually not dead. It's still alive.
It's still alive, so it's preserving them in a way that they can last. Because otherwise, there's a lot of waste, right? To bring mosses from overseas to Singapore, importing them is number one expensive.
Yep, correct.
The other thing is, when you bring in and you can't use them well, then it becomes a loss.
I see.
Right.
So how is he coming on as a sponsor this time around?
Well, he's currently, selling his terrariums
Yes.
and
he does
products
terrariums too.
online,
I
right? His
see.
moss frames
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
So what he's giving us is a 10% off anything that he's selling online,
Okay.
right? So he's going to have a new shop soon, I hope, a retail store that I hear is in the works.
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, if you go to his website, anything that interests you, a terrarium of many different sorts, very interesting. It's
Yeah.
like stepping into a different world altogether.
I see.
That's the experience I see, and that's what I purchased for my friends before.
It sounds like a work. It's also like can do workshop kind of
Yes, that
situation.
he runs workshops. At the same time, he also like build those terrariums and kind of sell them.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then if you're giving it as a gift to somebody for housewarming or even for, birthdays,
Correct.
that's quite an interesting and thoughtful thing, because the landscape that you experience, that you are going to be gifting to your friend, is something that you can create
I see.
as an inspiration and in partnership with Ming Guang, who is the owner of In-Out Atelier.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So the promo code for this round is clean your toilet inside out.
Or spell everything out in
Yes.
full.
Spell all in full in caps. You put it into the promo code, you get 10% off everything that's online.
Fun. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yes.
Now back to the rest of the episode.
And therefore, it's sort of started on this kind of lifestyle aspect of, I would say, a lifestyle kind of wear. How the idea of gender fluidity came about was actually through my design process. It came later on as I was kind of designing, and I started to sort of then be able to peel away at what do I want to see in the market, and I realized that there was a part of me that I think I felt like I kind of suppressed a lot in my entire in my lifetime.
Suppressed how?
My identity. I think growing up, I've always known that growing up I was different already. As a child, you kind of behave very innocently, right? Like, do you just allow yourself to be who you are? But then it's how society or
The mold.
tells you how you should behave, how boys should behave, how girls should behave, what they should dress, what colors they should wear. And I think as a young child, you kind of want to be, obedient, right? You want to make sure that you listen to your parents, you listen to what society wants, and be that,
Especially in
normal,
our culture.
normal person, right? And I think that's where I think, just unconsciously or subconsciously, I kind of started to suppress a lot of who I am. But I think growing up, I also had this kind of very, very different kind of personality. I was more flamboyant. I was more colorful in the way I dress. I was, just everything, even the way I move, the way I dance, I call it my drama hands as well,
The cheerleader, the spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers. They got spirit fingers, yeah. And so it was just out there. But I think over time, people just start telling me you shouldn't behave this way, or your teachers, your peers, will tell you that. And I was quite heavily bullied as a kid, called a lot of names, and even physically bullied, and even some of my teachers as well, they even told me that, this is not how a boy should behave, and then somehow you internalize all of that, and then you suppress it, and then it started to manifest also in the way I dress, how I became a bit nonchalant about just my clothes, when actually fashion was really something I really enjoyed and loved. I remember I used to love a lot of color, but my friends used to say you're too gaudy, so colorful. But then I don't know.
You're
so
like, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I knew what to say at that point of time. But
Yeah.
at the time, it's like you kind of feel like, am I too much?
It's
am
hard.
I too much?
You internalize a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's cumulatively like until like fast forward to now, it's just suddenly like, where did Leonard go? Where did I go? And it comes to a point of reckoning where you're like, am I happy the way I am?
Yeah.
Am I living my fullest life? Am I being authentic to who I am? And that's when I started designing that it started to unravel itself, so unconsciously or subconsciously. I just like, oh my God, what is happening here? Why do I want all these things? But then it felt so liberating.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Yeah.
I love that. And bullying is hard. I mean, kids are brutal.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really consider the backlash of what they say and how it can affect. I was bullied a lot in primary school and secondary school,
Okay.
being a student who wasn't local. Like, I grew up in the UK and then we moved to Singapore, and girls' schools,
Oh.
notorious for being so catty.
Oh.
And
Where do you hear boys' schools? Because I grew up in a boys' school.
we'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that. But yeah, I had these girls in school who basically tried to ostracize me and put me down because I would do my homework.
Really?
Right? They say like I'm sucking up to the teacher.
Oh.
I'm trying to be a goody two shoes. And very naturally, I took on like leadership roles in school. So I was like assistant head prefect, and then I was head prefect.
Wow.
And it might have been on the school a little bit. I don't think we were ready at the time for leadership roles to campaign and let primary school students vote for who they think should be head prefect.
Yeah.
But they did that, and I understand it was a form of like trying to implement democracy and all that kind of stuff within the student body. But the backlash was that I got a lot of, you're not even local. Why are you? You shouldn't be our head prefect. You're not even from here. You don't belong here. Go back to where you belong. And as a halfie kid, that's harsh, right? Because what is my identity? Is it the UK where I spent the first 8 years, or is it this country that I now call home where my mom is from?
Yes.
So how am I supposed to fit in?
Right.
Where do I belong?
Yeah.
And I think that's the struggle a lot of people have. What's your like racial background? Because I can't tell.
You can't tell?
Yeah, you're
Really?
like mixed.
Well, no, I'm not mixed. Nowadays, who's actually really like a pure-blooded?
Pure.
I don't know.
Like purebloods are overrated.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Growing up, I think people always thought like I didn't look very Chinese. Ethnically, I'm Chinese.
Okay.
But my family, we are like of Peranakan heritage.
Peranakan. Yeah. Okay.
But more from a Chinese kind of like influence.
Yes.
Because my dad's side is also Chinese, but they are more like they grew up in Malaysia, in this part of the world. So definitely even their like, conversations, their communication was also like either in English or like a dialect of Chinese, if not actually mostly Bahasa.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's side is Southern Chinese, like Teochew. But at the same time as well, like she grew up here as well. Her family was all from here, you know. So it's really kind of, assimilating and, becoming part of like the Singaporean identity, But my look, people always either mistake me as like, oh, someone like,
Rago.
like maybe something like Rojak, or maybe like, I would say like either Filipino or like something Malay, mixed kind of like a look, or Eurasian.
Yeah.
I get a lot of that. But then when I tell them I'm Chinese, they're like, okay. I said that's the whole beauty of Singaporeans, right?
Correct.
That's how we look.
Yeah. And I think Singapore's come a long way into accepting that there are a lot more races involved in the country than just your Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others.
Absolutely.
As I, well, not me, but a lot of my friends had others on their IC.
Yeah.
My dad was pretty adamant when we got our ICs that it said Anglo-Chinese.
Oh.
Rather, he's like, I don't want my daughters to be called others. It's such a weird, like, non-term term.
Right. That's interesting.
So how is it being in a majority like Chinese-based family, growing up with the feelings that you did? Or maybe we talk about the boys' school. Boys' school must have been hard, man.
It is. It's a kind of, I don't know whether it's a different ball game to like an all-girls school, but boys, we're kind of like plagued with different kinds of insecurities, you know, and some more like there's this kind of also like very imposing, like what they call it, like this very toxic masculinity that kind of like hovers around, like, you know, what boys or men should be, you know. So growing up in a boys' school, both in like primary school and in secondary school, yeah, there was this kind of expectation of how we as a boy we should grow up to become, you know, what kind of traits we should have, you know, that, you know, we're supposed to be like we should be leaders, we should be like more assertive and everything, but not all boys are like that. That's the thing, you know. And I think and also we're supposed to be athletic as well. That's the idea, right? All boys are stronger and everything. But I didn't fall into any of those. And so growing up, it was very challenging because I kind of always fell into a different group. Like I think there was always the group of guys that were like, oh, they're athletic, they're sporty, they were like, you know, typical bro kind of culture and everything. Yeah, you know, bro, you know, like, oh, let's go like for like some burgers. I don't know what they do. I don't know what the bros say. Even I'm like
what do they say again?
What do they say? Yeah, I wasn't part of that world. So like, but for me, I was more creative, more artistic. You know, I always tend to gravitate more to the arts. You know, yeah, you know, when even my CCAs, you know, when I was growing up, I usually always select CCAs that were definitely more creative driven. So I remember like either in the band, it was music, you know, if not, it was dance, it was, you know, so more creative aspects. And I think that obviously did not sit well with my peers and obviously my teachers, you know. It's like, oh, what is Leonard? Why is he behaving this way? And also even my behavior wasn't very typical boy. Yeah. And so I got a lot of bullying from it. You know, my friends would call me out, call me names, you know, all the derogatory names you get, you know, when you're not, you know, masculine or anything. And then as I go into like secondary school, when we, you know, as you grow up, become teenagers and everything, it becomes more of to the teachers then, it's more like, is this boy mentally right? You know, and then I got sent to like counselors to try to like change my behavior, indoctrinate me, try to get me to do more sports, you know. I mean, I can even share an example, like when I was in secondary school, I remember like my behavior was so troubling for my teacher that she actually sent me to a counselor, you know, to talk about this. And through the diagnosis of the counselor or what he interpreted was that like I needed to be more exposed to boy activities, which is like sports and everything. And so my teacher forced me to, like every recess, she got the guys in my class, the bros in my class, I guess, you know, who played soccer every time at lunch, at the recess time, to bring me down to play soccer. And they would force them actually, like, make sure you bring Leonard, hold his head and bring him down. And
Are
I remember,
you serious?
Yes. And they would drag me down, and they would obviously begrudgingly drag me to the football court, you know. And they would, when I was there, they took the opportunity to really bully me.
They were basically
core.
giving them a free pass to bully you.
Yes. So it was so bad to a point where they would kick like the soccer ball into my face, lie to me about where the goal was, because I didn't know where to kick the ball to, right?
Yeah.
And so like I remember being like slammed left, right, and center, and I was like, I hated it. I didn't want to go for these activities, you know, but I had to go because it was like it was almost like prescribed to me as like the counselor said, you need to do these things. And if I didn't go, my teacher would just like come down very hard on me and say, why didn't you go for why do you play sports with the boys? And I'm like, I don't like it. Why are you forcing me to do these kind of things? And so it was just very traumatic for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you have any friends or family members who you could talk to about this? Because I feel it feels a little bit like a double standard. Because if you were in a mixed gender school and you weren't interested in boy stuff, they would be more okay with it. I remember having a lot more, like there were quite a few more flamboyant boys in my secondary school, and there was none of that. I don't know, was it because it was a boys' school and there was so much blooming testosterone, for lack of a better term, that they
there's no diversity, that's the word. No diversity. So they only have this world where, this is how boys should behave, what they should do. It's all like very, I guess, what society kind of like carved out for guys, right? And what the textbook says that
was
boys,
this in the 90s, the early 2000s?
Well, primary school was the 90s for me, and then secondary school, late 90s, I would say.
Tough era to be in.
Right. And so there was, kind of like how there's sort of like prescriptive kind of like things of what boys should do in school. Yeah.
Nice. Well, but like family-wise, did they?
So it was that was also a point of tension for my family, because obviously growing up, they saw me from as a little child to who I am today, and so like my parents know my behavior, and they also have, I think they also have found it challenging as well, like.
It's new for them.
Yeah, new for them. They're from a generation where also there are a lot of these prescribed kind of rules of how a man and woman should behave, and so seeing their child sort of like just naturally act different or behave differently is like, so do we then mold him to shape or beat him to shape? I don't know, and it was things like that.
Sorry, beat him into shape.
Or maybe,
打是爱，骂是疼.
Yeah, something like that, maybe we should call him out. So I mean, they did what they thought that it was best for me as a parent, and I don't blame them, and so like, but in a sense, I also internalize all of that, and definitely, even up to now, my mom always says that, when as a child, I always felt this sense of worry for you because you're always very different, and I always felt like I need to protect you. And my dad also would say the same thing as well, all the way into secondary school as well. Like, it was this constant feeling of like, I need to protect my child because he's different, he behaves differently. But how can I mold him so that he would feel
that
safe?
life is not as hard for him.
Yeah, and then I think, it's just it's just like this constant thing. And I think that's why they always had this worry that, if they don't do anything now, I would suffer when I grow up or something like that, or the world will reject me. Yeah.
And it's not like they could foresee that the world is what it is now, and there is a level of openness that we see in the world now. They couldn't have predicted that, to be like, actually in the future he'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I will figure it out, and maybe just allow him just to be who he is, I think if I look back and I go back, I would probably tell my parents, like, just let your child be who they want to be, you can guide them, you can say like, give them good values. But I think when it's something to do with their intrinsic identity, who they are, their personality, let them just be, and let them mold themselves into, wherever they feel that resonates with them. I think that's when you see the beauty of the child just kind of blossom in itself. Fast forward to now, to where I am right now, I think if I was allowed to really just be myself as a kid, just that creative, flamboyant child, maybe I would have started my journey even earlier. I don't know. Maybe I would have done something even crazier. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like what could have happened if, let's say, you really allow your child to just have free reign in that sense.
There's always going to be that case of shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Right? You never know. And it's interesting when we think back on these things because we're like, I could have done this. And then we realize that our parents are only doing what they know is within their capability.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, how they were brought up as kids is how they know how to parent. And maybe, you know, if they were treated a certain way, they try and do the opposite for you.
Yeah.
You know, and when our parents were raised, it was really like kampong days way of bringing up kids. Like my mum they were handed over to the nannies. They had 5 of them. You know, my grandparents didn't really engage in actual parenting.
Right.
And if you weren't one of the successful children, you were not paid any mind at all.
Yeah.
You know, you worked so that you could help to pay for the successful children who have a future.
Absolutely.
So the almost like the less inclined to succeed children didn't get any love and attention. So the way that they've been parented, and they're just trying to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And then now we're just trying to break that cycle, right? Because your parents only knew what they knew.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that your brand, you've gone from gender neutral to gender fluid.
Yes.
Now treat me as a completely blank slate.
Yes.
Who knows nothing. So what's the difference?
I think it's also a journey for me as a brand as well. When I started my brand, my business, I actually, the initial term I used was always like genderless or unisex, because that was a widely used term in public. You say those things, people like, in fact, genderless was also something very tricky as well. People didn't understand what that term meant as well when I started, you know. And I remember always having to correct myself and say, unisex, you know. But when I started to use the word unisex, I felt like it also kind of like boxed me into a certain kind of category as well, that it's more a very neutral kind of category, you know, that it's just a term that's used to represent, you know, any clothes that could fit both men and women, you know, like maybe a very boxy kind of silhouette and things like that. But how it gradually went from like genderless to unisex to then being gender neutral and now finally gender fluid was the word fluid. I thought was important to be incorporated was because I felt that it embodied a lot of that freedom, you know, a freedom to be who you want to be, how you identify, you know, and how you want to show up in this world authentically, you know. And I felt that was important for my brand, you know, because that is the core of my brand.
And is it similar to the journey that you've had?
Yeah, I think my brand is actually, I've always say it's a personification of who I am.
Yeah.
My journey, you know, from being, you know, very sort of self-conscious, you know, to trying to like suppress part of myself, to suddenly coming to a point in my life where like, you know what, I don't have to hide myself, you know, just to feel like I can fit in or I feel safe. You know, I should be able to show up unapologetically myself and feel powerful in that and feel that I'm worthy and of a place in this world. Yeah.
And obviously, I think when it comes to Singapore, it's still a bit of a struggle. When it comes to this topic, it's a very tricky topic for us to bring up and talk about. And how do you manage to balance the level of who you are and your authenticity and what you want to show the world versus what Singapore's society is ready to accept?
I think it's a constant. For me, it's always been
To and fro.
Yeah, to and fro. I think it's about, you know, trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I think fast forward to now, I feel like more. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I don't try to hide certain aspects of myself just because, you know, I want someone to feel comfortable around me or to accept me. You know, I am who I am, and I'll show up the way I feel that it's most authentic to me, and it brings me the most joy about myself. You know, but how I talk about this kind of balance or this sort of dance between how to manage society is also trying to help them to also understand people like me as well, identities like me, diverse identities like me, that we exist as well, that the gender spectrum isn't just male, female, period. there is a whole spectrum in between and beyond as well that we may not have seen, and humans being humans, they don't know what they don't know. And, when for things they know, they kind of feel like that's the safe place, So for generations, we've only seen the gender binary. But I would say in the last decade or so, we start to see the rise of the whole gender spectrum of individuals who just don't feel like they fully fit into the binary, But also the idea of fluidity being the idea of freedom also to be who you want to identify as well. It's not saying, I want to be like a cat or a dog. No, that's not the point. It's
I was going to bring that up in a bit, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that, yeah. But it's a very tenuous thing because people think, it's just this woke mindset. But no, it's like this is our own. This is I would say it's like our own experience of this world.
Yeah.
And why I feel like you shouldn't discount your own true experience of the world or this world just because society said that there's this binary and boys should behave this way, girls should behave this way. Let yourself flow into your identity, freely.
At what point do you think that children should be allowed to have that flexibility to flow into their mindset? And I bring this up purely because, okay, so from a young age, you kind of already knew, your parents already knew, like, okay, he's not fitting into this box. He's more larger than life, and that's a beautiful thing, right? Because our role as a parent is to guide our children to be able to survive the universe, right? They're children of the universe, and we just give them the skills to be able to survive that. So at what point, especially with the rise of social media and a lot of the woke movements that we see, and obviously in other countries, it tends to be a lot more liberal than what we experience here in Singapore. But at what age do you feel like parents need to allow the kids to explore when they are exposed to so much at a very young age now with social media? Because I was having a conversation with a friend and we were talking about, in girls' schools, even in poly, I had a lot of female friends who went through their lesbian phase. And now they're married with kids. They ended up marrying men, having children, and fitting, not necessarily fitting into their role, but then finding themselves and realizing what they really wanted,
Exactly.
How do we help parents? Because it does boil down to education and awareness.
Yes.
How do we help parents navigate this very different space that we're in right now into what's a phase and what's not a phase?
Wow. That's a very big question, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's the essence of it, right?
Yeah.
As a parent who loves their child, I would like to think that parents, they don't want to stop their kid from being who they are. And you hear about all these other stories in different countries where kids can now, there's a word for it, and my mind is just blanked, like cut themselves off from their parents.
Yeah.
So that if they would like to engage in a sex change, they can, and they don't need legal parent. But I'm like, you're 12.
Oh, okay.
You've got hormones going through the wazoo.
Right.
You are at an age where you are extremely susceptible to external influence. And there is so much external influence in this day of globalization.
Wow.
So in a society where, emancipate. That was the word I was looking for. In Singapore, where this is not a situation that would happen.
Yeah.
But obviously, kids who might feel a certain way, like, build resentment towards their parents.
Yeah.
When all the parents want is just to be like, I just want to support you in what you're going through.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to protect you from things that, as a parent and as a person who has lived life and gone through experiences and seen our close friends go through difficulties, challenges, and these similar kind of experiences, how do we help parents navigate that?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not a parent myself, so I cannot really answer for the parents, but I'm a child of a parent of parents, right? And I only can base it on my own personal experience. And I always say allow your child to really feel into their highest joy. Oh, it brings me to tears also a bit because it was something also very I think taken away from me as a child. Not by force, but it's just I think you just want to be loved as a child. You want to be
It's okay, boo
yeah.
boo.
I don't know. It's just like sometimes I talk about my childhood, it does bring back tears.
Yeah.
I haven't said I lost a lot. No. I don't think so. I think it was meant to happen that way. 'Cause
Everything happens for a reason.
absolutely, and I always think that it was meant to happen this way so that today I'm able to tell that story as well. I think allow your child to feel into what brings them the highest joy, what brings them the most, what are they passionate about? I think as a parent you can feel it. And yes, I think to a certain extent, then parents also serve a role in terms of guiding the child, in, where they feel like would protect their child as well. But I feel like to a certain extent, as human beings, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too presumptuous, but like I feel like at some point we will always kind of like come into our own. That we'll grow up. Yeah, and as much as you're bullied and everything, I was a very bullied child growing up.
Yeah.
But I went through what I went through, and I think it made me who I am today. And now being able to share about like that sort of like that passion, to be who I am. And so I think all I only can tell parents these days is just, allow your child to just feel into their highest joy, and as a parent, you only can do what you can do, and I don't think you want to come to a point where your child feels resentment to you. But have that conversation. I think communication is very important. Allowing for that communication, that flow of communication to happen, and also being aware of what your child is going through as well. Being an open book, but also being opening a channel for that open conversation, so that you can journey with your child and understand what they're going through. So I think that's very important. At the end of the day, it's also your child's life as well. So let them grow up to be who they want to be. Yeah.
So in terms of your journey, right? We've touched on the childhood aspect and how, like, where you are now. What about the in-between phase? Like, at what point were you realizing that I have to break out of this mold? I have to be a lot more authentic to myself. I need to stop sacrificing my personal I need to stop sacrificing my personal happiness and my authenticity for the sake of society and their expectations and the box that they want to put me in.
Yeah. I think that took a journey for me, a lot of my younger years. That I think there came a point for me was, I think life has a way of getting to you, or the universe has a way of getting to you, and it will hear, it was like whispers, nudges, like something is not right, something's not sitting right. You know it. I think everyone deep in your heart, if you listen carefully to the whispers of your soul, you would know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's telling you something. And it's whether you want to open your ears to listen to it and maybe do something about it, or turn a blind side and just walk off and just ignore it, For those who ignore it, then, it manifests in other ways. Like, you can see like maybe in, they feel like constantly like disturbed or depressed or unhappy, maybe they're constantly falling sick, they feel very directionless, things like that. But for those who choose to at least be aware of that whisper, and follow it, it will start to unravel itself to you of who you are in this lifetime.
So what was that point for you?
Oh, wow. I would say there were many moments that had, this kind of like whispers, but I would say the loudest came when I was probably in my mid to late 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, I had, actually it always happens when there's a big catastrophe that happens in your life, like maybe it's either a breakup or something, traumatic happens in your family or something like that. It then sort of forces you to relook your entire existence, in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mine came in my late 30s when was at a point I had just had a very bad breakup, with
Breakups
my partner.
suck.
Yeah. They do, but then it was I won't go into the story of the breakup, but I mean, it definitely jolted my entire being because that was just not the first incident that happened. Not about breakup, but as in terms of failed relationship.
Yeah.
I had friendships that fell apart as well, things like that in my life. And every time at this kind of like moments is that moment to take stock and to see why does this keep happening to me? What is happening?
Is it me?
Is it me? Yeah, sure. Is it me? That's the first question. Is it me?
Yeah.
Am I the problem? Am I the drama? Yeah. And then you start to read. It's up to you whether you want to take that time to dig further into, what is that underlying issue that's causing you all this pain, and it's up to you to kind of like whether you want to embrace it and figure it out, yeah.
I think identity is definitely a tricky one, and it evolves over time. I think people don't realize that your identity always changes. It's the morals and the values
Absolutely.
that stick with you for life.
Yes.
Like, I used to think I wanted certain things out of life. Like, okay, I'm public speaking now. I can hold a crowd of 5,000 people and all that kind of stuff. And I loved the attention. I'm not even gonna lie. I loved the attention of being on stage. And then I still do. I still really love what I do when I can get a crowd going and cheering for athletes and just letting the athletes feel like, hey, we are behind you. While you are on the court, while you are on the track, we got you.
Yeah.
We're your fans. But then I step out of that and I'm like, I really love building my home life with my partner. I look forward to having kids. I look forward to watering my plants and growing my cherries, although someone stole our ripe cherries last week, which was just the weirdest thing ever.
You can grow cherries in Singapore? I didn't know.
No. This is in Oz.
I see.
My partner sent me a voice note. He was like, I'm so mad. Someone's stolen our cherries. Who could it be? And it's so weird because we live at the end of a row of houses. So it was just very strange. I'm convinced it was the delivery guy, but never mind.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess identity is a tricky one. Do you think people are starting to confuse identity? I mean, when it comes to especially this whole topic, right? You've got gender and you've got sex.
Yeah.
Right? They are two completely different things. One is biological and one is how you feel, what you feel.
Yeah.
And both of these need to be respected to an equal value.
Yeah.
But with the way the rest of the world has gone and taken it like completely out there, it might just be me. Naturally, as I get older, I'm taking on a more conservative stance to a certain extent. But when people are saying that they identify as a dog or a cat or they identify as a different race, I don't understand it. And I would love to understand your stance on this as well, because it's a very different time to be bringing our kids up in, right? And we want to be able to encourage the youth to be authentically who they are, to feel comfortable growing up in the universe, knowing that they will grow up in a place that is being accepting of what they identify with. But we've gone purely from gender to just...
I know, like... out of this world.
Out there. So where do we draw the line?
Well, that's a tough one because you can't control what, people say and what they think they are and everything. And, and I don't know, maybe I'm just a person that holds truth to who I am. Identity is a very intrinsic thing, and you are some of parts, I would say, like my gender and everything, my identity and everything, it's part of me. It's not all of me. Leonard is this aspect, he's maybe gender fluid, maybe he's, but he's also born a guy, a male, but he has a different sort of perspective to what being a guy is, but Leonard is also at the same time, he's a son of, two loving parents as well. He has 3 siblings, things like that. And then he's also at the same time a business owner, a fashion business owner now, who does gender fluid fashion, and he's creative, he's everything. Some of all those parts, and I always say it's like, live your highest truth. That's why I say about living your highest joy, live your highest truth as well. And I hold very close to that because you only you yourself know who you truly are, and if, for those who maybe identify, they say like really ridiculous things like, I'm like, maybe I identify as a cat or a dog or something like that. At some point, it will start to feel very, very disconnected. I don't know, maybe. But when it's true to you, when it's authentic to you, it is.
Who are we to judge?
Yeah, who are we to judge? But it's also forever. That's the thing. That's why,
not
like,
a phase.
It's not a phase. Like, I think it's only the last few years that when I started this business, that I started to really sort of embody who I am, even to also identify these facets of myself and to be okay with it. To know that there's value in it, to know that I have a place in this world, to know that there are people like me like that out there, and I think that is so important because that in itself, in totality, makes you what's so special in this world. It tells you your DNA, your intrinsic value in this world, what you bring into this world, and maybe and part of it is, for me, is this business that I'm doing, like this fashion business I'm doing, the designs I create, it is they might be clothes. People say, fashion is so trivial, just clothes, it's just fabrics.
It's way more than that.
Yeah, but it's identity and imbued into it,
Correct.
And people find, and clothes are your first things that you put on in the morning, and it's your first armor of yourself. It represents who you are, but it's also the identity that you carry with you, how you carry yourself, the way, the colors you choose, everything. It speaks a lot about your personality, like the way you dress, for example, like the green that you choose. Why do you choose green, not pink, Yeah, same as me as well. And I think that's how I like to show up in the world, my most authentic self, and then also gives me a sense of like, what is my purpose in this world as well?
What is your purpose in this world?
Wow.
Come, let's go.
Let's go very deep. I feel like, my purpose in this world, I feel like it's still a journey for me, but I know that, as I said, your life is filled with different aspects of your, aspects. And I think part of my purpose is really, through this business, through this line of mine, is to help people also uncover their own identity as well, through the channel, through the avenue of fashion.
Yeah.
That they are able to discover who they are through fashion, and that is something I find that really drives me in my business. Like, why do I continue to do what I'm doing? It's because I find it so liberating. But also when I see my customers also try on my clothes, my designs, I see also their entire being just kind of light up in itself.
I love
that.
Yeah,
it's so hard to pinpoint, but it's so it's so intangible. But you can feel the persona, the aura of the person, and it transforms. When they find something that really resonates with them.
Yes.
And when they make it their own, oh my God, it's the most
best feeling
attractive ever. The way they strut, the way they sashay, oh my God, everything comes together.
And I guess you're such an icon when it comes to the journey that you've been on, the trials and tribulations that you've had to go through and experience to get where you are today, that level of this is who I am and I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm going to be unabashedly myself.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Which is almost similar to, I was thinking about this just now when we were chatting. You have people who are interested and dress up like in a goth style, right? Because they identify with that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Or anime because they identify with these characters and they like dressing up that way. The world's just gone a bit cuckoo because I'm like, we didn't condemn them for dressing in that sense. Why are we condemning other people for what their preferences are? But of course we do draw the line. But what I did want to ask, that was just a random thought, sorry, is on your journey, obviously it's been a very big journey into getting to where you are. What are some of the major sacrifices? Because I think people don't realize that there are sacrifices that you will face when it comes to being your true authentic self. There are people who will fight you on it.
Yes.
There are people who will not agree. There will be people, especially when you are succeeding in making a statement and being authentic to your true self and pursuing a passion. How have you, like, what kind of combat have you faced in this journey of like from your self-identity to setting up a business that really amplifies your persona? How have you overcome, like what setbacks have you faced? How have you challenged them head on to allow yourself to be where you are today?
Wow.
Not me like asking, who the nasties who didn't accept you for who you are? I go and beat.
I mean, to be honest, that's I think that's the price that you pay for being your true self. That's why not many people want to do that. You know, they want to be sort of they want to blend in. They want to be a copy. Yeah, accepted. So that's why they blend in. And, you know, that's why it's hard to be authentic. It's hard to be like your true self.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, you know, because there will be people who will not like what they see.
Not to mention the number of keyboard warriors we have nowadays. Everyone has an opinion.
Absolutely.
The world has not learned how to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Like we can have different opinions.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we have to hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. Just agree to disagree. And the thing is that like, this is sort of thing, you know, yes, it does take a bit of that thick skin, but I think at the end of the day, it's also, I think with these people, for people who just, you know, for the backlash or the kind of pushback that you get from society for being your true self, I feel like you should, I think, adopt that mindset that, you know, what they're feeling is a reflection of them and not you. You know, it's a reflection of their insecurities, their lack of awareness in that particular maybe field of knowledge, you know. And also the world that they were brought up in, you know, and it's just having the understanding there are different people from you as well, you know. But I think what you need to hold firm to yourself is being true to who you are, because that is your key to unlock your highest potential, your highest joy, you know, and even your purpose as well.
And that's what we want in life, right? To be happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something people, the funny thing, the ironic thing I find about humanity is that they all say, I want to be happy. But the most ironic thing is that humanity is also so afraid to know what happiness is like. You know?
Correct.
Yeah. They say, oh, it's happiness. I just want to be happy, that's all. But when the moment hand you that manual to how to be happy, to be true to yourself, to live your highest truth, they're like,
oh, don't want. It's okay.
To me be like that? No. You know, it's like, then why do you keep asking? You know,
why are you hating on the people who have the kahunas to go and chase it.
Exactly, So I would say for the haters and everything, at some point you just need to sort of block that out and understand that it's everything on them, nothing on you. And your purpose in life is to just, experience what you are brought into this world to experience. I really, truly, actually life is very simple. Life is just about experiencing, and it's just to experience what you came into this world for, everything that comes before you, and how you want to create it, and from there you would see the full potential of your life.
And that's a beautiful thing, right? Because like for me, I've chased my career for a really long time. Like I started my first public hosting job. I was 17. It was for a band's EP launch, right? Back in the day, we still had EP launches. And I've worked really hard in my 20s. I hustled. I was pulling hours where I would be on set filming the kids show from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Wow.
Before and after that, Monday to Friday, I would either be training at the gym or coaching at the gym. So they were long days. And then Saturday night and Sunday night / Monday morning, I'd be filming the Premier League highlights with MediaCorp. And then on top of that, there would be other hosting jobs on the weekends. So maybe it's a marathon, like a sports event or a media launch.
Yeah.
On top of trying to build my influencer profile, because that's how we get more work.
Yeah.
And attending different events.
Yeah.
So like I had no life. Like building this career was my life. And I barely do any of that anymore, right? I'll come back to Singapore. I will spend time with my core people.
Yeah.
I'll spend time with my family. I will do the jobs that I love.
Yeah.
In Australia, my scope of work is extremely different. Like I've started doing some presenter jobs where we're filming on, it's a company that creates a curriculum on how to educate kids on cyber safety.
Yeah.
Right? So from 5 years old all the way until high school, there's different curriculum rollouts, coaching programs for students, things like that, e-learning, having conversations and interviewing people about health, wellness, and lifestyle. And then I've got the whole hospitality F&B side of the work that I do. But deciding to give up a big chunk of my career and what I've established here to be essentially nobody in Australia. Like I'm no one in the realm of the media world.
Yeah.
But I am with the love of my life. Like there is... I've been trying to work on my vows and it is hard because I'm like, words cannot describe how much I feel about this man and how strongly I believe that he is my partner for life and that is my teammate. This man will always have my back. I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's very, very handsome.
Picture, please.
I'll show you a picture later. But, and since very early on, all I've wanted is to be a mum.
Yeah.
Because I saw the way my mum mothered me and I was like, wow, I see the love that you give your kids and I want to be able to do that. So by 25, I was ready to have kids.
Yeah.
But then, and I actually brought up to mum about, what if I get a sperm donor? Not knowing at the time that getting a sperm donor is completely illegal in Singapore.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like you can't officially get it and then get like parental rights and stuff like that.
Okay.
It just means that you would be a single mum who got locked up.
Oh, I see.
So there's no due process for it.
Right.
And every time she would bug me about dating, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess maybe I'll just go get a sperm donor. Because the one thing that I refuse to compromise on is dating someone and then marrying them. I can't marry you unless I can see you as the father of my children.
Right.
If I can't see that, then why am I wasting my time? It's not going to serve me. We're going to end up getting divorced in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? But with this man, I can see all of it. And that is my joy. And I cannot wait to be his wife and to be the mother of his children.
Yeah.
Because I know he's going to be a phenomenal dad. He has so much love to give to me, to his family, to our future family, to our life. And that is, people are like, oh, don't you miss your career? I know you like chase your career. You can do bigger things. I was like, but what if I don't want to do bigger things? What if that drive that you saw in my 20s was purely for my 20s?
Yeah.
And now my drive is to care for my future human beings and for my future children.
Yeah.
And that is what brings me the most joy. And it took quite a few conversations with people for them to realize that I'm like, I'm not bothered by what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't know my internal thought process.
Right.
You don't know all about me.
Yeah.
Trust me. When I say I'm happy, this is okay.
And
I don't have to answer to you.
And that's why I say it's about finding your highest joy, right?
There's
you
a
don't
big
have to,
piece
you don't
in
have,
it.
Yeah, you don't have to justify to anyone about your choices in your life.
It's the justification.
It's like society expects you to be like, oh, that career woman, or I hit certain kind of like achievements.
I must be a boss babe and a mom and also clean the house and cook healthy meals and also go to the gym to get back my baby body, like my pre-baby body. I'm like,
right?
Like, no, can I just be a mom?
Exactly,
And the women who do that, I have no issue. Like, go get it, girl.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah.
If you can handle it, go for it. But it's not for everyone. It shouldn't be a societal expectation that men and women have to handle everything. Maybe sometimes the guy in the relationship wants to be the stay-home dad.
Yeah.
And the mom wants to do the career. That is fine.
That is fine.
Let people live how they want to live.
Exactly.
Stop putting the judgment and just start learning to love with grace and kindness.
Absolutely.
And I think that it will go a very, very long way in the world. And it might be centuries before we get there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But look, I'm really glad that there is a stepping stone and that we have iconic trailblazers like yourself.
Thank you.
Who are able to convey the message of authenticity and self-worth and self-value in a very inspirational way.
Yeah.
And just know that you are appreciated. I mean, you don't even need me to tell you this, but just from our chat together, like, you are appreciated, you are loved. I can tell that there must be so many people who find you such a joy to be around of because of how authentic you are. And I think that's a big lesson for the society that we live in Singapore to learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the how to say, I think you shouldn't go out looking for like validation or like what you feel that you are, because the world has a way of also validating what you believe in yourself as well.
Yeah.
So I really feel like what you've done, if it brings you the highest joy, it's meant for you. That is where you need to be, because that's where you live your fullest life.
And joy doesn't mean there's no hard work. Huh?
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's
hard
tough.
work.
You go through really bad times.
Yeah.
But underneath all of that, there will always be joy, and joy will be our foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's also why I started my business as well,
Which I will need to get. Do you have a in-store?
Yeah,
like
but
you have a storefront?
Yes, I have a storefront. I just opened my storefront.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. It's a big feat, but so I just opened my store.
Where is it?
It's at 35B Keong Saik Road.
Okay, in town.
So somewhere in the Tanjong Pagar district.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
I will get details from you afterwards so I can go shopping.
Definitely come by.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if people learn to love and coexist with grace and understanding, the world will be a much better place. And it might take us a while to get there, but it's so great that we have iconic members of society like you who trailblaze and are able to show our society here in Singapore that there are other ways to live our life. And this is how you can be your authentic self and find value in that. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It was fantastic talking to you, learning about your life as well, and the joys that that you have kind of experienced in your entire life as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of your Clean Your Toilet podcast. So say yes to life, embark on your inner work today.